Welcome, empowered empaths, to the Power of Healing Your Energy show. This show is all about your unconditional love, your light, your intuition, your soul's purpose. And depression and anxiety are a side effect of not living intuitively, not trusting your gut, the lost connections with your higher self and others. Your soul's purpose is here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Christine. I am your spiritual guide, intuitive mentor, and old soul healer. Come on in, say hello. This is season 2, episode 23. Of course, I have to look back because it's just 2021 seems to be flying by already. And today I have an amazing, and I kept calling them all week, power couple, the power couple. It just so happens they are the powers of love. And then I also love this as well. They're the ministers of love. And a little bit about them, Jason Michael Powers and Heather Grace Powers. They are, all about love and music, devotional arts, evolutionary divine union relationships, and they have helped thousands of people across the planet to remember the power of the I am. And I'm all about that as well. So I'm not going to sit here and talk, about myself and about them. I would love to bring them on so they can talk about themselves. And really, we're focusing on relationships. Man, I tell you, 2020 showed us lots of things, and especially our relationships, how we can thrive in times of challenge. There are opportunity. It's the greatest time to deepen everything, trust, intimacy, and our core. So welcome, Jason and Heather.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear us okay?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to put you in a better screen here so we can see you. There we go.
It's this full spectrum, powers of love with the Christ gold, Christine gold. What a glorious day.
I love it. It's like a rainbow light body too.
All about the rainbows and the colors, the aura, the spectrum. But thank you so much for being here. I told a little bit about you guys, but maybe you can give us a little more history. I mean, your bio is so extensive. But please share with us, where are you? Like, I'm in Victoria, British Columbia. You guys are in?
We are in Simi Valley, California, which is not too far from Los Angeles, just a little bit northeast. And we're in kind of like the foothill area. Just love where we are. We just this last year, actually in the last 2 months, moved. It's been a really wonderful year, and we're really, really grateful for where we're at.
Yeah, I feel, there's a lot of gratitude for us out here in Southern California, sunny Southern California. It's 64 degrees. It's a beautiful day. It's sunny. And prayers for all those, as a presencing that we count our blessings for where we live in the world, for all of our fellow citizens here in this country and beyond that are experiencing one of the harshest winters.
Yes.
We just really do feel very, very blessed to be where we are today. And
we do.
Not too far from Santa Barbara, just here in Southern California, the city of angels.
Oh, I love that. Love that. Thank you.
But a little bit about us. Heather and I came together about 7 years ago after a couple marriages apiece. And, Heather was in a couple, I was in one, and children and gone through the cycles of trying to do marriage and relationship, knowing that's an important part of our life, and making mistakes and learning what it is we want by experiencing what we don't want. Sometimes contrast is a great teacher. And we got clear on our journeys and our unique journeys. I've spent years in training to become a science of mind practitioner, spending time in new thought, spent 10 years in devoting time to, cultivating what it means to be a practitioner of the mental field, working with the law of cause and effect and the law of divinity of man and woman. Those are the two causes of how we create miracles in our life. And I was just a student. I spent good 10 years. We both spent many, many years in traditional Christianity and kind of emerged in an evolutionary Christianity, Christian path that embraces the teachings of the East. Pick it up from there.
Yeah, thank you. Well, when we came together, and at first it was kind of an interesting way that we even connected. It was a YouTube video that I saw of his that I recognized his heart and the heart of Christ within him, because that was my background. And like Jason said, we both came out of a really more fundamental understanding, which was an amazing foundation and heritage for both of us to be where we are now. We just keep adding layers and understanding, going deeper and higher and wider. But most of my life, I'm a pastor's kid, and I was raised in the church, multi-generation, and my whole career was in Christian music until about 9 years ago, when I lost my mom and dad in a very short period of time. And it was the first time in my adult life that I felt the permission to really go on my own journey. I had been on staff at my dad's church and was very involved in that community, but it was that breaking point. And so that was when we began to open possibilities up with each other, because I was on a new journey and understanding spirit and life and myself and relationship in a different way.
And I would say the timing was around 2012. And if you back up 2001, after the towers went down on 9/11, I started having a really profound shift inside, where I started asking deeper questions post leaving the Christian church and started really digging into meditation. And I didn't even know what that was. And it was Dr. Wayne Dyer who kind of led me and ushered me into a whole realm of, wow, I can just sit in my room and contact God within me. And, we know that as the I am presence, that presence of God, that presence of Christ that dwells within us. And I started really actively being part of building communities. And, as I've kind of culminated here to inspire, activate, and elevate what I call one love consciousness, or what is Christ consciousness, which is one love. And on a journey of clear, I know why I'm here and what I'm here to do, but I also knew intuitively that I wasn't here to do it alone. And I really felt the calling to do it in partnership, in equality, not to be like, okay, I'm the pastor and this is the pastor's wife, or that's
hallelujah,
nowhere near where I knew it. I felt this calling to, even when I was a kid, I would grow up and go, when I get married, I'm not going to wear the pants in the family. I don't want to always wear the pants in the family. I want to co-lead. I want to co-choose. And that we, God put it on my heart at a young age to look for that and call for that. And the funny thing is, when I was 11 years old, I was that weird kid that was dreaming of my wedding, that weird boy. And I saw this ocean and this overlook and this huge, beautiful hill overlooking. But I also dreamed of this. My wife was going to be somebody that would sing to me in bed. And I saw her. She was this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, beautiful woman that was singing lullabies to me in my sleep or when I'd go to bed. And audience, I'll tell you, she's actually got a song called Lullaby.
Wow.
Really weird. So it's kind of like relationship was built on our hearts. We knew that we wanted to do it in partnership. Heather can tell you a little bit about the history of even her parents.
Yeah, thank you. Because my mom and dad have a significant amount to do with why we even came together. And their energy, their love shows up a lot in our field, which has been a really wonderful guiding principle a lot of times, and just a blessing, kind of that divine masculine and feminine mother-father blessing in our life as we've dug deep. And I'll tell you, sometimes when we've been in the fires, just knowing that they've been on the other side, having walked through this themselves, they were.
You're admitting to the crowd we've had fires in our life.
Oh man. In fact, I wouldn't say this anymore, but there was definitely a season, good portion of our early relationship, we laughed because we say our second address is the cauldron. You know, when you come into relationship and the intention, the North Star, is to really truly embody love, everything unlike love is going to raise itself up. And so that purifying, burning out process can be incredibly intense at times, and also so exhilarating on the other side of each, layer that we burn. But my mom and dad they were soul beloveds. No surprise that they departed from this plane only 11 months apart from each other, but they had written a book called Two Friends in Love, Growing Together in Marriage. So many stories to go, down this rabbit trail with my parents. But what I just want to say is that their love and the way that they demonstrated life and ministry together really paved the way in my heart. And even having two marriages that didn't complete in the way that I thought they would, I always knew that what they shared in ministry and how they began their journey wanting to serve the divine together and love people together. And from the very time that we came together, one of the first times together, we had an opportunity to serve this young man named Michael together. And it was like, this is what we want to do. We want to pray together and be a support for people. So
yeah.
Wow. I just got like soul chills and bumps and all that good stuff. Can really feel the love between you, and I love what you said, co-creating. Amazing. I'm just going to say hello to a few people that are here. Thank you so much for being here. And even if you're on the replay, feel free to ask questions. We're not going to leave you hanging. We're not that type of show. We're all in community here. Marianne, hello. If you're new to the show, please let us know where you're from, if this is your first time as well. And Jax is saying, love you guys.
Hi, Jackie. How are you? Good to have you here, sweetheart.
And Marcia, Miss Marcia, how awesome that Jason is able to put his ego aside to empower his wife. Oh,
on the good days.
Thank you, Marcia.
Sometimes. Well, that's an interesting.
That's our dance.
That is, here's what's interesting. I knew intuitively. I took Heather's last. We actually took each other's last name.
Yes.
But I had an Akashic field therapy session done many years before I met Heather. And in the field therapy session, it was told to me that you were connected to the powers. And I didn't understand what that meant at the time. But if you understand the angelic lineages, there's the principles, there's the cherubims, the thrones, the dominions, the powers, the cherubim, the seraphim. And I think it was somehow connected to that angelic frequency, whatever that was. But when Heather came into my life, I didn't put two and two together till later. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. I see our destiny path. I am too. And part of my work as a man, I work with men and helping men come into that heart space of accessing that divine feminine within you and surrendering to her within you, so that you can surrender to her in all ways, not just in relation with another being, but with the earth, with the animal kingdom, with the elemental kingdom, and all this understanding that surrender to she, the Sophia, is an important part of coming into balance. And so I knew that I was to take her last name, and we both took each other's last name. But that's where the power struggle, we're doing our best to go, this is the war. This is the war on planet Earth. This is the war in our hearts. The war on planet Earth is because there's a war in our own hearts. So, we've come to understand that relationship is our dharma. It's our yoga. It's our path to come into, we get talked about like, oh, you're the happy people, the love people. It's like, no, you understand. This
You
is
have
like,
no idea.
It's no joke,
Oh no, heaven forbid. Oh my
Right?
goodness. It has to be dark and negative and everybody has, anyways, sorry.
Right.
Go on.
Right. Yes.
It is the time of the Christos to rise on planet Earth. It's the time for she to have her voice along with he, not to excommunicate and push away he, and that's a whole nother conversation of going, how do we heal the toxic masculine, feminine in all of us, is part of our dance to do. So, There are days where I don't surrender to her and my ego dances, and there are days where
I don't surrender to you. Yep. We got, we're working. It's so beautiful to, I think, finally be emerging, because a lot of the conversation, I think, is still about the war between the masculine and feminine. And we've been diving deeper into, I've been kind of on a 40-day journey with just going back to the Course in Miracles. And we've been in an incredible book by Nook Sanchez, just a beloved of our hearts for sure, but the Manual on the Holy Relationship based in the Course. And what's been really beautiful about spending more time with this material, especially where our mind is now, right? Our awareness is now, that it's really as simple as shifting what our perception is in the moment. And if we're, engaging here, 99% of the time does not work if we're in a conflict, until we can both come into a place of, coming back into our own circle, and then doing our best to hear and see the Christ in each other, to be able to hear and understand the perspective that they're coming from. So it's not necessarily the masculine and feminine, it's just our egos are in the process of understanding that it's safe. It's safe. We are safe every moment. We're safe to surrender. We're safe to allow each other to be heard. And that's quite a dance to do on any given day,
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for doing the work and being brave and vulnerable and sharing your experience. Wayne Dyer, when you brought him up, I'm like, that's the grandfather. That's who I started with in my journey. I so love that brother. And thank you for bringing him up. I feel, as well, I still have Wayne in my life, obviously, but I've kind of moved over to Alan Cohen, and I do read from the Course in Miracles. I'm on day 121. So it's a beautiful journey. I highly recommend everyone actually to go through the Course in Miracles.
It's a game changer, and you as I'm sure the holy relationship, when I started studying the Course and I got a vision of what Jesus was teaching in the Course about the holy relationship and what is that versus the special relationship as it teaches. And I don't want to go into a whole diatribe of what that is, but ultimately it's a game changer for planet Earth. And that's where we're clear. If we can come into holy relationship, and that doesn't mean necessarily a romantic partner. That's just really coming into, knowing that you are the presence of love, that you have never left, you can never be apart from that. And that when you're in communion with another being, especially in relationship, because this is where our trigger points are. But the Course, Nook said something so beautiful. And this is really, especially in light of the climate of what we're dealing with on planet Earth, whatever you think about what's going on, we're not here to sway you in any direction.
Yeah.
But I do know in my heart, as an empath, as somebody who really feels compassionate, feels deeply about the state of our planet and the really split timeline that we're feeling, is we want to see a world that works for everyone. I think we all want that. We want unity. We want oneness. We want to experience that. And we want to see that world change. And that's what we've been, peace on earth, right?
Yeah.
And so Nook said in the book called, it's a manual for holy relationship. Definitely take a look at that. She said, if two or more sincerely join in his name, really under the Christhood, with the one desire to accept the peace of God together and nothing else but the peace of God, then the whole world would be completely changed. And so what we're here to presence and the work that we're here to do is to really anchor that understanding, because sometimes we don't want the peace. We want to be right.
Yeah.
We want to be heard. We want to be understood. We got our wounds that we have. Please tend to my wounds. Don't disregard me. And sometimes that makes us do crazy things in our ego dance.
Yeah, totally. I think that the more work we do with this material, it's so amazing, because the Course is like, it's back to basics in one sense, but it's also so expansive that the more time you spend with it, it feels like it just opens everything up when you really grasp what it's saying. And I think the biggest thing for us lately is when we can remember in any given moment that this, like he said, the North Star is peace. If that is the most important thing, that's the triangle. It's like that divine presence pulls us both up and allows us to hear each other in a way that when we're just going here, and that's the basis of our communication, it's, the physiology sets in and you can't hear each other, can't see each other. It's like complete. I love how you're, opening about a life that is not guided by intuition brings depression and anxiety and a lack of wisdom and a lack of, presence, and how hungry the world is to remember the simplicity of the love that they are and know that they're safe to just be that in any moment.
Yes, remember who you are. Perfect holy child.
Yes.
No, I love that. And you said Trinity. I definitely am resonating with that as well. And thank you for sharing that. So how, and I just thought of something out of the course as well, is that you have a light that is so holy that the world would be sanctified by it. That's a power statement, but, and I started with the Bible and it just didn't connect. And I think that's what I feel with many, that is the issue. They had a trauma attached to some religion.
Yeah, that's a
So
big,
true.
I've been dealing with it myself, like even more so. There's deeper levels. I mean, I was part of a church experience that was, on 2020 Time Magazine, 60 Minutes was labeled a cult, and it wasn't like your Jim Jones cult, but it was just the following the teachings of one man. And we really forced discipleship onto people and to follow how to convert the world in one generation and make disciples of all people and to teach them to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. And I was active in it and I loved it. And I thought this was going to be the solution to humanity, that just help people follow the teachings of Jesus, which it is.
Yeah.
It's just expanded beyond what traditional dogmatic theology has been teaching. And so to understand and to, as Ernest Holmes was one of my great teachers of just understanding the perennial philosophy, the golden thread through the East and the West, and to find the teachings where Yeshua was influenced by Buddhism, by the teachings of the East, and by the great masters of light that go beyond what we even understand. And that's where we've had to make peace with, understanding there's beautiful wisdom in the Bible, and we honor the Bible. We've gone back to it, so much of it.
Yeah.
And we love the Tao Te Ching. I mean, the Tao is like one of our sacred texts that we read often, the wisdom of Lao Tzu, and to see that and to expand it in a way that's not, and sometimes that might be threatening to an individual because, we only know what we know and what we're comfortable with. And so to go around those parameters of what my parents or what my parents' parents and all this and my cultural conditioning to ask deeper questions, it's definitely a courageous path. 333 on the dot over here.
Love it.
Love it. It's like the holy balance. Yeah. The Trinity.
The Trinity.
Totally. The Tao Te Ching. Oh, man. I was tuning into something really briefly this morning, and it reminded me that what was begun, the East has such ancient tradition. There's here in Western America, we are aware. I mean, we're becoming more and more aware because of the indigenous cultures and, connecting with the earth in that sense where there's, we're connecting to the mother principle through that culture. But in the East, it's so rooted in the feminine. It's so rooted in the mystery. And I think the waterway, Lao Tzu is the waterway. It's the flow. It's finding life, in between the structures and that mystical presence that resides in each one of us that is waking up, that we would call the mother or call the divine feminine principle that is really truly coming into balance in all of us. And in relationship, it's like the opportunity to see where those principles are out of balance in either one of us at either time, because when we're not yielding, we're not in that flow. And when we're not taking action, we're not balanced in the other. So what a dance it is that we get to learn.
One of the joys that we've been able to do in our life, part of our dharma is music. I mean, music is our passion. And we've been fortunate enough to travel back and forth to China over the years to bring mantra and to bring we're part of a group called the Phoenix Rising, part of the New Century Foundation. And so we're bringing the ancient teachings, the ancient mantras of the Himalayas, of the Tibetan Buddhist path, in the East, the teachings of the dragon and the phoenix, and understanding how they cross with the Christ. And there's this blend of a band together that is really doing something special. But to see, here in the West, I mean, we're just the new kids on the block. I mean, you go to the East and the deep lineages and traditions and culture and you have respect. And so in this timeline with China and all that, we just bless that we know something great is emerging that we can't all see. We only see in part. And that's what I want to say to even our listeners who are listening, like, even in your relationship, like, I am doing my best to discover Heather in more and more ways, to not go, I know who she is. I know all about her. Like, there's so much that's still uncovering that I'm allowing to meet her again and again and again. And so let's meet each other again and again and not know so much about what we think we know, hold loosely to what we think we know, because we're all only seeing part.
Yes.
The Course in Miracles talks about perception. Perception makes projection. That what we think we see, we're projecting out there into the world. And we see that in relationship like no other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm just asking anyone if they have are they struggling in their relationships right now? Maybe with yourself? Is it with family, friends, coworkers, partners? I mean, everywhere you go, it's your pets. It's a relationship, right? So I'm just asking if anybody has any questions. So I guess, couples that are coming to you, what tends to be the core issue? Have you found, or is each client different?
You know what? I think the more people, and I would say this is not just couples, the last round of our Awakening, the Powers of Love course that we did, we actually opened it up to singles as well. We had couples and singles because, like you just said, relationships are at the core of our entire life, no matter who they're with. And, there's only so many things that can be out of order in our life. The experiences are different. Our life, our life path and how we've grown up and, the wallpaper is different, but really at the core of it. And it sounds simplistic, but I think this is maybe the grace of it too, is that it really does come down to fear or love. And where the ego, if we're in fear for whatever, that we're not enough, or that the other person is, not seeing us or understanding, it always comes back down to a fear of something that we're trying to get something out here that we don't have here. And so our passion in our own life, in our own relationship, and in our work is to really guide people back to the presence of love within themselves first and foremost, because this won't work if that's not working. You'll always be in barter and exchange. And that's generally what we see in any kind of relationship.
I think to tag on to that, the other thing I think we see that is forgiveness.
Yeah, babe.
There's just a lot of pain in the pain body. Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about the pain body, right? So we carry a lot of, whether it's this lifetime of relationships that didn't work, or this lifetime with this partner that, we hold on to our pain. We hold on to the resentment. We hold on to the grievances that we have, and the should have, could haves, and wish they were's that keep us blocked, from experiencing a greater expression. Our intention always in our life and in the lives of those we work with is, how can we increase capacity to receive and give love? Because ultimately that's what we're trying to do, is to increase that capacity, that chamber in your own heart space, in all your centers, to open up. I mean, we talked about the Trinity. A lot of our focus of our work is hinged on one thing, is that your relationship with God, your creator, source, the universe, whatever you call that, that's the beginning of the Trinity, your relationship with creator, your relationship with yourself. Know thyself, know who you are in truth, that you are the immaculate concept of God. And then have that relationship with the other, be it a partner, or be it a community, or be it the ghost in your own head of your parents, or the people that done wrong you, the doing the wrong, whatever that song is.
Somebody done me wrong song?
Somebody done me wrong song. We've all got our songs. We've got our story.
Oh, I'm going to have to listen to that one.
That never-ending story. It's like how I've been and how love has betrayed me, how love has abandoned me. And we're here to tell you there's a new story. You can create a new story today in your relationship. Today, even if you've been in the muck and the mire of the crap, you can begin today to go, look, take time and just share and go, okay, we're going to set a clock, 11 minutes. You go, you talk, share your heart. Don't interrupt. Just let them listen. Just hear it. Maybe ask a question for clarity. 11 minutes, now go. I tell you, that little exercise right there will get you so far, in just having that committed time. But I think lack of forgiveness and lack of a devotional practice, however that looks like. Because a lot of times if we're trying to deal, I think it was Einstein, right, that said, if you're trying to deal with the problem at the level of the consciousness of the problem, you're not going to fix the problem. So we've got to go to a source of love, of intelligence that is higher than our lower self human, not that the human is the divine, and you know what I mean? I'm not trying to separate them, but I'm saying that level of consciousness, that level of problem solving, if it's at the level of the small self, we're just going around and around. We're not going to get anywhere. So we got to have access. And that has been Heather and my saving grace is what we call going back to the garden, going back to that prayer field, that place of, let's get on the mat together. And however prayer looks for you, we're not here to say there's one way to pray, but come into communion with the beloved. There's an old mystic Sufi chant, Ishkala Mabulela, Ishkala Mabulela. And it's I am the beloved, the lover.
Love, lover, and beloved.
Yeah, the beloved, the love, and the lover.
There you go. A trinity again here.
Yes, exactly.
I love that.
It's so important to have that time on your own. I mean, I think our day can get going so quickly. And before we know it, we're, on our phones. We got messages coming in about business. We've got, breakfast. We've got all these things. And I have found how precious it is to kind of recommit that time, just if nothing else, to be in the silence so that intuition and that wisdom is unfiltered, so that you know the difference when you're moving about the day. Because sometimes when we're busy, it's hard to distinguish which voice is talking. And just being in silence together it's been always our saving grace. And then praying out loud together too, like really calling things in and allowing that divine fire to and I use this word intentionally and a little bit trepidatiously, but fight for what is imposing, fight for the boundaries of protecting that seed. Because right now in relationships, there is direct opposition to relationships really landing, and we can see it in everything. And it's this home relationship for all of us. It's the smallest form of government. And if we are a divided house within ourselves, we will not be able to have a home that is undivided. And so this has to be our first priority. That's where we go. Our North Star is that our unity in our homes, so that we will have the intuition to know how we serve in the community.
Yeah, I love that. God, self, and others. Unconditional love, healing, forgiveness.
Yes.
Making our way home. And we've got to do it. It's a co-creative process. My take on prayer before was, oh, God, give me this. Now I know it is co-creative and it's already done.
Yes.
There's the big difference. And prayer takes you from the ordinary to the extraordinary.
Amen.
Yes.
I saw one of the comments, I really want it to be clear in how we're even presenting what we do, because it's not all positive.
Right.
Oh,
It's
your Marsha's comment.
yeah, it's
Okay.
love, and there is something
It is.
to in affirm and hold to be the truth. And I think the biggest game change, what's happening, we're seeing as we're observing what's going on our planet, is part of our work. When we do work with our clients, we work with ourselves. We are shadow workers, and so embracing that, you come into that holy union. The prophecy of the Hopi, they talk about a timeline that we would have on planet Earth, and they call it about the two hearts and the one heart. And the two hearts won't make this timeline. They won't make the jump because there's something split inside them. And that's that shadow. We're not owning that dark side of ourselves, and that wants to come into holy union with itself and understand what is the shadow, what is that dark side wanting from you, what is it, why are your addictions, what's going on with your arguing, your anger, what are you mad at? Anger in itself is not a sin. It is not. It's how do we point this, how do we use that sexual energy that it's not in distortion. How do we use that righteous fire that wants to take guided action? And so it's that place of coming into holy union. So we do, we don't spend a lot of time diving into each other's shadows and navel gazing and blaming. And, it's just take responsibility for those darker aspects and live in the light, live in the truth, bring the skeleton down of the closet. That's where trust, comes into. We talk a lot about in our work about the six, we call them the six roses, but they sit in the soil of trust. And truth is a big one of them, to live in truth and to have, that light of truth in your life and looking at yourself holistically, not bypassing.
Yes, bypassing. That's what I kept hearing.
Yeah, we bypass so much, and what we bypass, we project. Because we're blaming and shaming the others, be it on the news media or in the government or whatever's going on. We're not owning our own stuff. I mean, we've all said things we're not proud of. We've all done things we're not proud of.
Yeah.
How quick we are to point at power players in the world and go, how dare you?
So true. One of the things that we observe, especially in a lot of like new age spirituality, is that projection of light and positivity is so much the focus that it almost becomes an ego blinder. And so we begin to make ourselves out of figments of light, and a lot of times, and when I say this, I want to be cautious that there's no judgment on this. It's just things that we've observed in our own journey and in our own ego, battles. When we're putting our attention so much on our light, we schism more and more, and the ego is emboldened and emblazoned in what it perceives itself as light. And I think a lot of times the archetypes or the angels or, these imaginings that we have, everybody has a personal journey with these things. It's in our inner kingdom. But when we start making it outward and we start over identifying with these things, and we disown our humanity, we disown the things of our flesh that's running through our DNA, the things that we inherited from our families, we're literally projecting them out so that somebody else is going to have to do it. It's like the buck has to stop somewhere. And I think, if I could celebrate anything in our journey together,
you can.
and we celebrate a lot, because when we look back and recognize how much we've really grown in our willingness to continue to look at what is. If something's out of alignment, it's got to be brought into alignment, else we can't go farther, and our territory can't increase, and our guidance we can only see as far as our own shadow is cast. And so to really take that seriously and without shame bring those things to the Holy Spirit, without shame lay before each other, before we go and offer our gifts, we confess to our brother. And what you said about forgiveness, that's saved us over and over and over again.
We had a great interview with some common friends of ours, Michael and Honey, And we had a great time with them, and they asked, like, what is the signature? Like, what would be the word that, kind of symbolizes who you guys are? And I really took to heart what they had asked. And I feel like it's important to presence here because we're talking about, what we said, it was bridge. We're bridges, bridging heaven on earth, bridging spirit and matter.
Yeah.
We're to bring, one of our dear friends, Todd Medina, he talks about the human is the hero. We disqualify our humanity and trying to, be these light beings. And we are, but we've got to bridge it inside. And, Carl Jung, one of my heroes, he said, one does not reach enlightenment by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And that's how we ascend. We don't ascend by imagining all this, and not owning and bridging these parts and coming into the one heart.
Right. And that's the uncomfortable part sometimes, because when you shine a light on the things that you may have been sweeping away for a while, and all of a sudden it's brought to bear and you have to really look at it, there's a certain kind of divine agony that it can feel like. And I think that also is probably one of the most precious tools of grace, that you don't know what grace is until you recognize why you need it. And
I love that. I love that. That's powerful. As you're talking, it used to be the norm. What was it? 50% ended in divorce, and everyone's just like, yeah, that's just the way it is. So I feel like we're breaking all the generational stuff by doing this work now. And 2020 really shone a light in all the dark spots.
And we hold that in our heart, the prayers, because we know right now, I was just looking up the opioid crisis, what's going on, the suicide rate that's not being talked about, the domestic violence, right? That is going on in the homes in this lockdown, where people are uncomfortable. They're in fear. They're in fear of death, fear of loss of some sort, whether it be your life of loved ones or your job or your home or what. It's of your own sanity. We are in a crisis on planet Earth. There's no question of that. But we can take charge, as Heather mentioned, in the governance of our own home and the own heart. And so we know, Marcus Aurelius, I think it was said, like if you want to have peace in the nation, in the world, you got to have peace in the heart. You got to have peace in the home.
Amen.
That is our goal. That is our work. That is our dharma. That is our alchemical the medicine of digging deep into this, because we know we can't go out there and change the world. The Course in Miracles teaches us that if we come in and want only peace, and if we're gathered together in this focus, we can invoke. And then when you go into quantum science, you understand, as you said, one light, I think it talks about, right, Christine? Ernest Holmes says, one alone in consciousness constitutes the majority. That we don't have to convince anybody. We just have to embody, integrate what we've been talking about, what we've been reading about for so long now.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. We're in this information age where there's so much good teaching. There's so many opportunities to absorb what we need to be reminded of. It's not something that we're learning new. It's obviously, I think when you hit that stream of good spiritual food, that it opens you up and you go, there I am. I remember. And sometimes I think because the darker side or the shadow side can be the uncomfortable part of things, there's a tendency to want to just keep nibbling and smorgasbord on all the, opportunities to grow spiritually through knowledge. And I think there comes a point where it starts to become its own sort of suffering if it doesn't get integrated. And I think as a planet, that's where we're at now. We have people that claim that they believe something, but I think we're moving from believers to knowers to beers. We are that. We don't need to point to it anymore.
Absolutely. Empowerment.
Yes.
Sovereignty.
Yes.
I think of the lion. I've been seeing a lot of that for months, which is, I love that. So, be the love and the light you want to see in the world. And it starts with us, whatever you're putting out into the field. I didn't get to ask you guys, but I'm just going to spring this on you, but I usually ask each guest 2 questions. And the first one is, how can we as a collective energy help make your dreams come true?
How can we as a collective energy, the 3 of us?
Yes, and anyone who's joining us, just how can we help you?
How can we help you reach your dreams? I love dreams. Dream weaving is what we do a lot in our life. We're big dreamers, you know. Imagine, as John Lennon would say. Neville Goddard wrote a book called The Immortal Man and the Divine Imagination, that dwelling place. I spent 5 years of my life in Los Angeles as an improviser. At 3 different troops of, you know, in an improv, you're creating from nothing. You're really accessing that divine imagination. And that is where it starts. And so enabling, you know, I would say, allow yourself to dream, you know, and see where the boundaries of the dream are within you. Where, you know, it is done unto you as you say it is, as we believe it. And you know, we've seen the bumper sticker, as you believe and conceive, you can achieve, you know, that whole thing. Like, but it is done unto us as we not only mentally use our mental field, but we've come to understand that the most intelligent, most powerful part is our heart. And that emotion, that energy and motion that fuels the dreams that we feel, we allow ourselves to feel into the dream. But I think it's restoring that belief. You know, The Never-Ending Story is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yes. And the great nothing came when people stopped dreaming, stopped imagining. Powerful. You know, the father who is, you know, lost his wife, and the young Sebastian who's lost his mom, you know, and his dad's just going, you got to keep your feet on the ground and stay in reality and don't get your daydreaming out there. And we learn that that's what created the nothing that ruined Fantasia. Yes. And allow ourselves to dream again. Can we dream of a world that works? Or are we buying and we regurgitating the same story that the mainstream media is telling us? Well, what's happening? Can we stop and go, no, let me take captive of my mind and my energy field, and let's dream a world that's working for everybody. Yes. But I think giving yourself permission to dream.
Yeah, I'm all about dreams. I keep a dream journal, and I always ask my clients to keep notes, because it's very important. These are messages. Pay attention.
Remember your dreams.
Yes, and a second question is, what does magic mean to you guys?
Oh my gosh, well, that's got many layers.
I just sent a picture today. Spread the magic of love today.
Aw.
You know what? And that's what it is, really. I think what we've learned in our journey, and we've had so much divine magic in when we're in that flow and we know that it's love that's guiding us, it has taken us to the most incredible places. We were married on a mountaintop in Peru on a full moon, and I was facing the moon and Jason was facing the sun on a mountain called Apu Lima, on a trip that was completely gifted to us. And we have story after story of when love has just been, we laugh because often we don't know what we're doing. We just kind of bounce around like kids playing in the garden. And that's when it happens, that the magic, maybe the Course would call it the miracle.
The miracle, yeah.
The miracle, time has collapsed, and we are in that divine, incorruptible innocence that allows the dreams and visions of our hearts to manifest easily and effortlessly, and to ride that, those waves. And we've seen the most amazing things in our life, and we can tell when we're out of that flow. It's, it's a beautiful little leash and reminder of when we're not in that love field.
Love that.
Amazing. I love this question. Like, it just like exploded me right away. Like, oh my God, that's the $1 million question.
Absolutely.
Magic. You know, I've often said I'm a natural magician using the metaphysical laws of the universe, understanding that magic is natural. It's like, you know, it's the force. It's what Yoda, it's what Star Wars talks about. It's the force.
Yes.
It already exists. Magic is not bad.
Nope.
The occult isn't bad. The occult is just hidden. It just means it's something you don't know yet. And the mystery schools and all that stuff. But magic really is, for us, it's surrender to love.
Yeah.
And that's when magic happens, when you surrender to love. And that higher love, that divine love, that calls you to a higher way of being, when you surrender to that, magic is natural. It just happens. You don't make it happen. You don't need to manipulate it to happen. It is pure grace.
Yeah.
And that is a space that we could tell you story upon story upon story, that Heather and my commitment is to surrender. We're consecrated to that. And that has opened up the right home at the right time, the right money, the right jobs, the right situations, you know.
Ships all over the world.
Einstein also, I love smart men who are scientists, you know, in the spirit world. And Einstein said the biggest decision you can make is whether you live in a friendly universe or a hostile universe. This is the difference between pronoia and paranoia. If you look at the world and you see people, places, and conditions trying to get you, harm you, take your life, then there you go.
So
you
it
will
is.
navigate it, and you will see it, and that's what it is. But on the other side, if you believe people, places, and conditions are aligning for your good, for your greatness, for your health, then guess what? You're going to see people, places, and conditions magically lining up. And that's why Einstein said the biggest decision we can make is whether it's friendly or hostile. And here we are. We're in a point to choose today how we're seeing our world.
Absolutely. Choice.
Yeah.
I love it. And I see it as a switch. And really, you're the switch. What are you switching to? What are you letting in? What are you allowing? What are you seeing and perceiving? So gosh, I could talk to you guys for hours. You have amazing stories, amazing energy. I want to thank you so much for being here, for sharing your heart with us all. And what's the best way to reach you?
The best way to reach us is go to our website, which is thepowersoflove.com, and sign up for our newsletter. You can communicate with us there, and or on Facebook. We're also on Facebook, both of us, and we have a Powers of Love site as well, on Instagram, all the usuals. But the best way, if you want to just get directly in touch with us and communicate directly, probably just go to the website and send us a line. We'd love to connect.
You can follow us on Facebook. We have the Powers of Love on Facebook. You can join our community there. We are excited. We're birthing a brand new program that's really about, when Heather and I first came together, it was about money, sex, and power. These three archetypes, these three spheres of influence on the relationship in our life. And we have 3 antidotes to really help balance money, sex, and power. That we're excited to birth into the world very soon. So stay tuned to that.
Oh, definitely. And I will share with our group when you guys are ready.
Thank you, Christine.
Amazing.
Thank you
so much.
Well, thank you so much. I'm sending you guys lots of love, and just hang on after the show here. I've got a few housekeeping to take care of, but guys, please let me know if you are, you have a guest, someone who is amazing you want to share with me. Please send them my way. A few things first. If you're looking for a safe space for empaths, this is the place. Unleash Your Soul's Purpose. It is on Zoom every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you need the link for that, please let me know. Just comment Soul's Purpose and I will get that for you as well. The February energy update, I do a monthly energy update. I also do a weekly energy update. Head to YouTube for that if you're wondering, what's going on in February. And as well, I have 2 groups, mentorship groups. I do one-on-one, because it's all about your intuition and coming back to who you truly are at a soul level. So I have these groups as well. If you're interested, please reach out or head to my website, 24khealing.ca. All right, guys, I love you so much. This was amazing. Please remember, healing begins where the ego ends. Take care.